Do you think the shifts he has made have made a difference, Joel? And obviously, Evan, I know you've been following this race as well.
No, they have not at all, Adi. Look, yesterday a letter came out signed by 650 rabbis, and this is after months of direct personal outreach by Mamdani to the Jewish community to try to assuage their fears. And the letter comes out and basically says, not only are we going to be more at risk here in New York, but every Jewish city is going to be more at risk, or every city where there are Jews is going to be more at risk. That is a damning statement, and I just don't think that his arguments are credible. I agree with what you just talked about a second ago. This was a motivating factor, his anti-Israel viewpoints, at getting him into the lead in this primary.
But one of the reasons why I'm bringing it to the chat is because he is in the lead.
Yeah.
Listening to this panel, you would think he is not in the lead, but he is. And what I have questions about where the party is right now on this issue and others. And Evan, do you think that is revealed here in this conversation?
Well, it's a two-sided issue, right? Because on the one hand, Mamdani, unless all the polls are wrong by a lot, is going to win by a lot. And now on his shoulders will be this idea of carrying this issue that progressives, want to find some common ground on forward. He has a problem when it comes to this issue in terms of, uniting his base. But the other problem is the Democratic Party has had no message on this. The Democrats lost that primary by a lot because young voters in New York, a lot of voters in New York, were motivated by this issue, and mainstream Democratic Party had nothing to say to them. So Mamdani has something to say. People don't like it a lot because it sounds very different, but that doesn't alleviate the original problem here, which is that they didn't actually have any counter message to it. Now, what's being said now, I think, is interesting when you talk about just how much of a burden this is going to be for Mamdani to try to actually solve this problem. But the problem is not his problem. He didn't create it.
Yeah, and fundamentally, you had a party that still backed Cuomo, which I think is also.
And I'm the only person smiling at this table.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be a great counter for Republicans at the midterms. He's an executive in a large city who's going to do bad things. And we can point that out.
And that's the ability to do bad things because he can't raise taxes in a place. All of his policies are not going to be able
to that Mike can deliver.
I don't know the answer to that question. Republicans have been saying this for a long time. This is great for us. We're so excited. But Democrats said that about Trump too. I mean, the idea there's a very exciting candidate, exciting among young people, exciting online. That candidate is not a Republican. I don't know why that's so great for Republicans, but they say that it is.
All right,
we'll see how that goes.
This connects to another issue, actually, because people have been talking about the Maine Senate race. The candidate there is named Graham Plantner, and he had to cover a tattoo because when it went public, people were like, hey, this kind of looks like Nazi symbolism. And Plantner, who's running against Maine Senator Susan Collins, actually posted on Instagram saying he's sorry he ever got that tattoo. He took off his shirt for the cameras. Here's a sample of that.
It's come to my attention that it has a stark resemblance to a symbol that is used by neo-Nazis. And I want to say that was not the intent at all. I went to a tattoo parlor and I got this to cover up the skull and crossbones.
Okay. So in a recent interview, he also tried explaining his position to voters on the matter. I'm going to play that for you as well.
I'm proud of the person I am today. I'm not proud of the person I always was. But I also don't get to be who I am today without that journey.
All right. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is because he talks about being in the armed services, saying some of the things he said, having trauma. But what he is a person who says, I did some things wrong, and I apologize. And even with Mamdani, he said, defund the police. I shouldn't have said that. I apologize. And does a party that before disqualified everyone, is the lesson that they take away from those last couple of years of purity and litmus tests to, again, turn away people who have base energy?
So I'm not going to say definitely he should leave or not be part of this campaign.
Yeah.
But, having that skull and crossbones on his chest for 18 years and seeing it in the mirror for 6,000, 7,000 days and not knowing what it's about, I don't find it credible. The cover-up is worse than the crime, as they say. Now the cover-up
The tattoo cover-up.
Yeah. I mean, this is ridiculous.
I don't get the Viking symbolism.
He did not apologize to the Jewish community. He lightly referenced concern about anti-Semitism and nothing else. So he missed his moment.
So the other reason to talk about this is because we just had a bunch of Republicans in a chat text group also espousing anti-Semitism. And the vice president said, well, you know, kids. So what I don't understand is what is politically disqualifying and what is not.
I don't think
nobody understands what that is.
Yeah, I don't think there
Let's
is.
just be perfectly clear.
Does Mike understand what that is?
Yeah, I think a Nazi SS tattoo is disqualifying.
Isn't this
For
the worst
18
conversation
years,
to
how
have?
drunk do you need to be to get a Nazi SS tattoo?
but here's
This
the
is a
thing.
ridiculous conversation.
Nazi slogans as well.
What's better, hiding it in your text?
Fuentes for dinner
Why
in your
is
head?
Nazism
Like, none of
popular
this
in
stuff
American
is
politics?
That's a fair question.
Didn't we fight the Nazis in World War II?
That's a fair
Yes.
question here. Why is this rising? Why is this so popular right now in America? And that is the bigger question.
And
I
why
think we
is
need
it
to
so
address.
hard for collectively politicians to be like, this is not good, instead
Anti-Nazi?
of whataboutism? That's the thing that drives me crazy as a moderator, is actually having to sit and have a conversation in which I'm like, which one of these is worse? It's all bad, and why are people unable to say it's all
And
bad?
why aren't we talking about affordability? Why aren't we talking about lowering the
Okay,
cost
that's
of
a
healthcare?
very.
Like,
I knew you were going to bring up
understand.
healthcare subsidies. Yeah.
No, it's not that.
I mean, we'll say in the annals of political moments, it has come to my attention that my
Right.
tattoo is
Not ideal.
pretty much one of the best ones. I mean, it's like the VPest thing I've ever seen in my life. So it's not great. He has a lot of problems here, but this sort of general conversation of like, well, I guess he's done. We really just don't know anymore if that's true.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, from the American Jewish perspective, I've worked in Jewish politics much of my career. This is a swing and a miss. This does nothing to assuage Jewish voters' concerns. Now, it may only be 1% of the voters in Maine, and maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he's speaking to a constituency out there he thinks gets excited about anti-Semitism. We're seeing that grow on the left and the right, seeing political value in attacking Jews. Maybe there's something to that from his perspective. I hope not. The Democratic Party, we stand for more than that.
Yeah.
But I fear that he is opening up this
But it will
can of
be
worms.
interesting to see what does it mean to try and rehabilitate one's image in the age of Trump, in which many things are pretty okay.